Witcher is really interesting to watch because there's a certain group out there. They can't decide whether they hate it or whether they love it. I mean, if you look at this in front of you, this isn't the first time that The Witcher has come under fire, but this one I think is pretty funny. How The Witcher falls into fantasy's trope of comparing disability to monstrousness. Dun dun dun! Gotta end it now, apparently. Hey there, so today we are returning to that wonderful world of movies, and I have to say, when I want to get those hot takes out there are specific crowds that make me laugh and laugh and laugh. So apparently, these heroes in their own mind, they're protecting the disabled here, as noted. I love a good monster, and Netflix, The Witcher, has lots of them. Something I also generally love is a blurred line between a monster and a human. It's a narrative device that can lend itself to really interesting explorations of morality, identity, and what it means to be a person. Now comes in the salty part. Unfortunately, throughout the comparatively short life of fantasy as a genre, it's mostly been a less than productive trope, often exposing the biases of the writers more than anything. Disability is a common target for this kind of writing. A non-normative body is an easy one to portray as monstrous. There's a very established set of tropes where disabled people are either evil, their disability is manifestation of their sin or punishment for some wrongdoing, or magically cured. They didn't deserve to be disabled, so they got fixed. What I dislike about folks like this is they can't see people as people. They look at that quote-unquote non-normative body and they see something that has to be protected because these folks, they can't be the diabolical genius. They can't be someone that goes out and takes over the world. No, they have to look just like everyone else. See, they fall into the same issue that you see characters in shows falling into. They see that character and they think, hey, that character can't be. So they go out and they underestimate them. And when you underestimate, haven't you learned that lesson by now? Woe be it unto you. Now, I'm not going to cover everything that is said within this because it's 25 plus paragraphs. What I'll instead boil it down to is this statement. This is about a character, a disabled sorceress, that prepares to complete her training and undergo an enchantment to become her ideal self. You know, someone wanting to go in and to blend in with everyone else. Because, you know, that's totally off base. That never happens in the real world. No one ever feels that way. They also find time to complain about infertility or forced sterility in this because apparently, you know, having choices and having something that happens as a consequence, even a forced consequence when someone makes it, that doesn't make characters more interesting. It doesn't give them something to chase. Nope, somehow and some way, that's offensive. Now, what's fascinating about their hot take, you know, again, after they go through the entire storyline, is the fact that they tell you this could be taken in other ways, but I want to be offended. And then they tell you that, well, this is a statement about all, even though they say, well, maybe it's not a statement about all. It's amazing. It could almost be saying something interesting about the layers and the complexities of disability and how often a cure is not really a cure, but the handling is clumsy at the best of times and leans heavily into the misconception that disabled people always want to be abled. I'm sure that's true of some folks, but there are many disabled and differently abled people who take pride in their identities and would rather be accepted and celebrated for who they already are rather than who they could be if they were normal. I include myself solidly in this group, and therein lies your problem. Instead of seeing the world of The Witcher and the ideas transposed upon it, you see yourself in your own setting, and you see this all about yourself. So, when you're looking at it, you take offense, even though this isn't aimed at you. This isn't about you. This is about someone in a different time with different circumstances, making choices and having to deal with consequences. Because otherwise, you know, maybe you wouldn't have a show at all. They finalize this, too, with a parting shot, saying, hey, you can watch this, if you want to, but. So watch The Witcher, if you want, along with any number of other TV shows, films, and books that paint disability and monstrosity with the same brush. You know, because if you watch that, well, what does it say about you? Now, what's absolutely hilarious about this is the type of person that adds to the critic score that you see in front of you. I mean, here with Rotten Tomatoes, you can see two things. Number one, audiences, they seem to like this show. 92% of them rated this at a 3.5 or higher. When you get to critics, however, it's at 66%. And then, like I said, when you look at those types of hot takes, yeah, it gives you an idea of why. What's even more fascinating about that is when you decide to filter out all critics and you look at what they consider their top critics. That score that we saw there in the 60 percentile drops down to the 40th percentile, while again, average audience scores stay above 90%. That tells you that there's a discrepancy between what these people want to see and what these people want to be offended by and what audiences absolutely want from a show. Now, this is what top critics look like. I mean, this will be all of them here. Remember, as we're going through this too, these are the same people giving us hot takes like this. It's pretty ist on this continent, except when it's not. I'm not sure. Women can lead and fight and commit horrible things, but they also apparently deserve to be. And you see what's added on there. Deserve to be. Man, I tell you. But anyway, you can see a few positives here saying, hey, this has room to grow. It's messy. It's absurd. But also we had fun with it. So let's stick with that. Then you get into the negatives. A lot of them here saying, oh, this spared little expense, but the plot is so distended and fantasy tropes so enthusiastically familiar that you may not make it past the Tower of the Gull. It ain't exactly Game of Thrones, because it definitely had that Game of Thrones budget, right? Where you could go out and make an undead bear that costs millions of dollars in one scene. All this expedition would make for a tough to-do list under the best of circumstances, but The Witcher heightens our confusion by fumbling details that would have helped set a cohesive tone. At the end of each episode, I absolutely did not stand up, scream what the H was that, and then tell everyone within earshot what I'd just seen. Wow, that's a review. I can't even believe that. So yeah, this is some high school level D&D roleplay with a multi-million-dollar budget. You know what? D&D is actually a fun game. Hey, I know, so hard to think of though, right? Henry Cavill plays the title role of the Witcher, but giving a pulse to the dreary medieval fantasy series is too much of a job even for Superman. Who is that character again? Which group do they belong to again? What timeline are we in? The whirlwind of scarcely explained backstory turns you into a hopelessly lost parent who can't seem to figure out how to DVR criminal minds. Alas, my destiny is to never watch this borefest ever again. Original score F. Will you like The Witcher if you're a curious neophyte? Maybe, but you have to have patience with it, and if that's not your job, the outsized amusements may not be worth the convoluted build-up. And finally, this is a show with moments of drama and of gruesome violence cut through with a glancing humor that too often feels tossed off and out of place in the world the show is created. Now, I always like leaving off with audience reactions because that gives you an idea of how people actually see this product. And what's interesting is you have the same complaints, but people, they still enjoy the show. Andy T is one of those, for example. The Witcher's first season, it has narrative flaws, extremely rushed character development, convoluted non-linear story, but good performances, great action scenes, they make the series quite fun. I love the show so much the next person goes, the casting they go through is great, and the battles are done great. Highly recommended. Then I skipped some because I can't read that, awesome to you though. Props to Margot, just can't read what you said there. And went into this series thinking it wouldn't be much, but soon changed my tune. Very much enjoyed this show with its sarcasm and humor. Not the best series I've ever watched, but it was well worth a look to see if you might like it. Now, you see a few negatives thrown in there as well, but as we go forward, look at how this sets up. We saw one negative out of that entire front page. People do bring up the fact that you have timeline jumping, you have some stuff that is confused in there, convoluted, but still, they enjoy it. Strange how that is. And you know what no one brings up? ism. No one brings up the fact that disability is monstrosity. There's only a certain type of person that does that. And interestingly enough, like all these studios, they actually give them top billing. But anyway, you tell me what you think about all of this stuff. And did you like The Witcher? I'm curious about that too. So ending this, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you about stuff. Thank you for helping this channel out. You make all of this stuff possible. Not enough people say that. So I just want to end with that. No other things here. Not trying to sell you anything. Not trying to tell you to do anything. I just truly want to thank you. You've made this channel work, and I appreciate it more than I can ever say. We'll do another video soon. If you want to check that out, do so. But again, appreciate you. See you next time.